On to.
The whole different face with the ring
Yeah.
light on.
Ring
Well,
light.
people, although I was at a Christmas parade, they still have them. I'm in a small town. It's not a small town anymore. It's actually a pretty large town now. But Indian Land, where I am, used to have a very small town feel, and it still keeps a lot of that. So we have like a Christmas parade where, the Cub Scouts walk and all that stuff still happens where I am. And there's a guy recognized me first, then somebody else said something, and they recognized me. And one woman goes, "My God, your eyes really are that blue."
You're gonna have to put a float in the parade next year.
That's what I said to my wife.
Christmas parade float.
Who all is in the house? Let's jump over to our public chat. I see Jim of all trades. What's going on, my friend? Good to see you. There's our buddy Kevin Pearpoint. John Cena made me cry on Saturday. Well, I can't see him, so I don't know.
It was his last match.
Yeah, no, I'm joking with the whole you can't see me.
Oh.
Oh.
What's going on, Blister Bill?
I'm watching a show on Apple TV called Pluribus, and he made a little scene in there. It was one of the funniest I've seen in a while. I think he's hilarious. I think he's absolutely dry humor hilarious.
Kristen, hello. Quark, hello. Brenda, how are you?
I got to ask Blister Bill, is that a playoff of Mr. Bill? Like, that's what I would like to know. Because every time I see your name, I'm always like,
I've never seen him write "oh no" in the comments.
Oh, no.
Wirehead, there's our Canuck buddy.
It's the Mr. Bill show. Yeah, I was just totally curious.
How cold is it in PA, Shell?
20s. It's in the 20s. Yeah.
It's supposed to be back up to the 60s next week. You're holding steady in Florida there, my friend?
Yeah, it was kind of cold today. It was like 68 and rainy.
Yeah.
We got dumped with a whole bunch of snow. Like we had a little mini snowmageddon on Saturday that we had to dig our way out of and such. The roads were kind of bad on Saturday going into Sunday. So
yeah, right off the top, cannot start the show. There are very few weeks that go by that we don't mention the impact of Rob Reiner as an actor or as a director. Whether it was All in the Family or Stand By Me, A Few Good Men, A Princess Bride, which one of you?
The Princess Bride.
Right. Yeah. Which one of you didn't see it? Thank you for that, Chris. That was you. The Princess Bride. So many movies. Harry Met Sally. Yeah. And numerous more. Just really, just did the remake of Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
The part 2, which is coming out. So, tragedy, I think death when it comes to us, we're getting older, so is everybody we grew up watching, so it's increasing. But when it happens out of turn, when it happens out of tragedy, I think it makes it even sadder. So our hearts go out to all those affected on that. And then we lost Anthony Geary yesterday as well, who was Luke from Luke and Laura.
Which we just talked about like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so, we did. Yeah.
The Reiner thing is just because I think like the last time there was that kind of, I mean, maybe I'm missing it, but that kind of violence, like familial violence with Hollywood, was Kelsey Grammer. Sorry. Not Kelsey Grammer. Well, Kelsey Grammer did lose his wife. I think his daughter, his sister to murder. But no, Phil Hartman. Sorry, Phil Hartman.
Okay. Yeah.
Phil Hartman murder-suicide. And so we don't, like, to your point, people pass away that we saw when we were younger and they were 25 years older than us at that time. But this is different.
What's going on, my friend Life? How are you? Well, yeah, we were just talking about that 2 out of the 3. And then Zed, of course, we also lost the guy who played the villains on a lot of the movies, Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Just sad. And we'll say that and move on. But it does make what we do, not just the 3 of us, but what we do in the business of reminiscing, of nostalgia, of talking about the past in the present is important because it allows us space to share our memories and the impact those memories had, not only on our past, but who we are today. So hearts and prayers and all that stuff go out to everybody impacted. But today, the 3 of us are here with a job to do. We do it every week. We come together every Monday, right around 7 p.m. Eastern time. And one of us hosts, and that host comes up with 3 topics from what I know for me and for Chris and for Shelley, 3 of the greatest decades in the history of time. when it comes to pop culture. We talk about something from the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And those three things seem random at first, but only our host knows that we're playing a game. And the game is to figure out what connects those three topics. My name is John Katrides. I'm better known as Gen X Jono across my social media platforms. I talk about all things Generation X, what it meant to grow up in a time when Y2K was ahead of us. It's something looming out there in fear instead of so far behind us we can barely remember it. I'm joined with two of my closest friends here.
I am Rochelle O'Black, better known as Gen X Shell Online. And I think most of the people in here already know who I am. But on my channels, I talk about basically a little bit of everything. It's kind of all over the place, from beauty, fashion, wellness over 50, and mix that in with a little bit of nostalgia.
And I'm Chris Clues, better known as Chris Clues, keynote speaker and author. I focus on the lessons we can learn from 80s pop culture. You still have time if you want to get one of my books for somebody in your life who loves the 80s for the holidays. They are all over the place, but Amazon's probably, unless you're going out to a store like we used to do old school, Amazon's probably the best way to do it.
And welcome to the Three View Mirror.
Hey, we got it right.
Everybody gets lucky sometimes. Somebody remind me, happy 100th birthday to Dick Van Dyke as well.
Kevin said I don't look 50. 52, actually, and a half.
All right, who's the host today? I'm thinking it's Shell.
It's me. I got three good topics here for us today that are relevant and connected. And you're going to think right away that one obvious connection, and I'm going to tell you right now, it ain't it. But are you ready for it?
Ready.
Okay. Mad About You. Remember Mad About You?
Of course.
Yes. Mad About You. Twister. And actors who played teenagers. I was inspired by the Grease thing. Actors who played teenagers well beyond the years that they should have actually played teenagers.
Oh,
Too old of actors playing teenagers.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to be curious.
All right. Tonight's three topics are Mad About You, Twister, and actors who played teenagers when they were anything but.
There you go. You said it better than I could have. Yeah, that's actually a great way to put it. Yes.
Life, thanks for the comment. I'm glad you love the books.
Yes.
Well, you let us know where you want to start, and we will dig right in.
I want to start with Mad About You. For me, this show, the thing that I remember most about this is I was idealizing what it was like to be like living in an apartment in New York. And it made me want to I want to go live in an apartment in New York. It made it sound like something with an elevator was going to be fun to live in.
So Jim of all trades shoots in, so it's not Helen Hunt. No, that would be what my friend Shell refers to as a red herring. Her topics often have one where you think off the bat you know what it is, but you don't. So I would say that is a guess, and we shouldn't guess till the end, but that's obviously not going to be the one tonight.
Yeah.
For me, that did it. Mad About You did it. More to the point, Friends did it really well. I remember thinking in my 20s, I had a friend group, and it really was 5 or 6 of us, mixed between boys and girls, and just, living our lives. And we did it a lot of fun in Buffalo, but it wasn't New York. And I actually moved to New York City for a little while until alternate street parking nearly broke me, and I decided to come back home because I couldn't afford the tickets.
What's alternate street parking?
You got to move your car every morning at 5 a.m. from one side of the street to the other. Oh, Yonkers got me good.
Did not know that. Well,
It's
see,
a thing.
coming from, the country bumpkin kind of a life here, the idea of living in a high rise was so foreign to me. I didn't even know anybody. I probably never even visited a high rise, let alone like, knew what it was like to live in one. And I was always fascinated. I know this sounds goofy. The dog, they had a dog, at least in a couple of the seasons. And I thought to myself, who would want a dog living in an apartment like that and having to go walk it out on the streets at all times of the day and night and have to get dressed up, especially in New York, with your coats on and go walk that dog from your 37th floor or whatever it was. That always was like, yeah, that'd be a deal breaker for me.
So I love Helen Hunt for As Good as It Gets, even more than Mad About You. And she's already mentioned how many movies she's been in. But, there is a Friends connection to Mad About You as well.
Of course.
Because it's Phoebe. Yeah, yes. I mean,
I started on Mad About You, right?
I guess she did, because the show started in 92.
Yeah.
So, and Friends didn't start till 94.
Yeah, Phoebe, the actress, anyway, started as that small role.
Lisa
Kudrow started, and it's Phoebe's sister, her twin sister, that was the actress. Yeah, and then she jumped over to Friends. I always loved, and both Helen Hunt and they walked into the set of Friends at least once, where they came in and saw Phoebe in the coffee shop and thought it was Phoebe's sister, which of course it wasn't. Ursula, thank you, Jim.
I'll tell you, the other character that I love from Mad About You, I feel like whenever I see him, he's kind of like everybody's dad, and that's Richard Kind. He's such a good actor. If you Google Richard Kind and you're kind of curious about, you're going to see his face and you're going to know immediately who he is. And whenever he's like plays a part, it feels like he's just everybody's dad. He just plays a really good, dad part.
And Hank Azaria made a couple of appearances on it, and Helen Hunt actually married Hank Azaria. I think that's where they met at one point, and he's been pervasive, even though he's a lot of times been behind the scenes.
Are you afraid of my Guatemalaness? And then when he was in Along Came Polly, the hippo.
And our friend Wirehead from our virtually live studio audience brings up that Paul Reiser also was in a number of movies, prominent in Mad About You. During that, so he was also the slime bag and alien that sold out everybody in order to bring the alien home. But the 90s in that era really did this thing where they started grabbing comedians off the stand-up circuit and putting shows around them. This was one. Seinfeld was another. Home Improvement was another. Ellen DeGeneres, The Ellen Show was another. I mean, there were a bunch in the 90s that said, hey, we've got a fairly funny person. Let's build a show around that. You can say The Cosby Show, I guess, probably started that, because that's, Bill Cosby, everything else about him started up in stand-up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how many people searched Richard Kind back in the shots?
My favorite movie of Helen Hunt, though, and her not being the connection, because of course we're going to talk about Twister as well, which she also starred in. My favorite movie of hers was Castaway. And Castaway, for me, she was absolutely fabulous. That was my heart broke when she ran out to that car and she struggled and so on. I think she's amazing, and I don't think she got enough credit. She's gotten a lot of roles, but I don't know that she and she's A-list celebrity, but she managed to, I think, stay out of the celebrity traps. Maybe is what it is.
Saw her in something. She plays the part of an agent. I can't remember what my wife and I were just watching something.
You got to post what Wirehead just put.
Wirehead. I smell a Calvin Klein in the air. No. I don't know. I smell a Calvin Klein in the air.
Not a Calvin Klein.
What the hell's the movie we just watched? It's about a stand-up comedian, an older stand-up comedian. But at any rate, she's still good. She's still Helen Hunt.
Yeah.
Older. Looks like she's chosen to have some work done. But okay, that's a life choice for everybody, but it's still her, I guess, is the point I want to make. And I like it. Oh, dude, I forgot about her after school special days. I think her mother was the one that drank a little and slapped her around a bit.
I don't remember specifically, but there
was one, My Mother Drinks or something like that. And they're all playing Monopoly and the mom's starting to lose. So she just throws the whole setup and start slapping the kids around. I think that was Helen.
I gotta tell you too, Mad About You, the fact that we're talking about it and it was this popular, everybody knows it. It says something because it came out in that golden era of sitcoms, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and there were a lot of sitcoms to choose from. So you had, different choices that you could make, and we were starting to get more choices in channels, more choices in content. And so for Mad About You to be able to stand out like it did is impressive because you weren't just the only sitcom on television.
But it also benefited from one of the best Thursday night lineups in the history of television.
Yeah.
I argue you could almost throw anything in there. You could throw Caroline in the City on Thursday night and it survived. I mean, you didn't have to be awesome. I will say I think that Mad About You was, but it didn't necessarily have to be. If it was going to be the bridge between Cheers and Seinfeld or it's going to have a really good opportunity. That Thursday night must-see TV lineup, whether it had Mad About You in there or Wings in there or God help us, Caroline in the City, it did well. I loved Wings as well.
We're going to talk about Wings one week.
We will have to talk about Wings someday.
Wings and Golden Girls were on at the same time on one of my channels, all the reruns, and I literally would sit, oh, Wings is on, oh, Golden Girls is on, and watch every episode.
There you go, Murray. Boozy Let the Snow. Murray was the name of the dog. I remember that now.
Murray. Okay. Sometimes those little details elude me, but Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt had such a freaking chemistry about them. And, separately, they've done so many things, but I just, there was something about that show where their chemistry just caught on, whether it would have been on that golden ticket hour, like you said. I think that show would have been a hit either way. And it's not one of the ones that we go back in time, like we're talking about it for the first time here. Like Friends is something that you just, even now you still see Friends t-shirts being sold, and Mad About You kind of faded into the backdrop a little bit, but it was a fantastic show. And it isn't even one you see in reruns or anything, 10 years later, we didn't see that one come in reruns like we did, say, Golden Girls or Wings.
Yeah.
For me, Mad About You jumped the shark though. It was one that I lost all interest in watching because they got real. They had the marital issues where they almost got divorced, and I get it. That's real life. But it was such a left turn from the show. The witty banter, the chemistry between the two of them. I wasn't watching that to see an after-school special about how mom and dad are breaking up. I was watching it to see the two of them because I really liked their chemistry. I liked the banter. I liked the way the show went. As soon as they got serious, it was like the same thing with King of Queens. They started having problems. I'm like, dude, it's a comedy. Can we talk about it all the time. The 80s gave audiences what we wanted, and the 90s started wanting to teach us a lesson. That the writers were smarter than we were, and the show wasn't going in the direction. Plus, they named the baby Mabel. Thank you, Doreen. Who the hell does that? 1992, 93, 94? You don't name the baby Mabel. That's
Desperate Housewives. I was just thinking about this the other day. They named their one kid Maynard. You know what I mean? And you're like, what? Maynard.
You mentioned Mad About You in New York, and I always tell people, because I grew up in Baltimore, and I'm like, this is the best way to describe growing up in Baltimore. You have these sitcoms that were, Mad About You, Friends, Seinfeld, happy, fun shows based in New York. You had Golden Girls with LA. You had Boston had Cheers. Baltimore has The Wire and Homicide: Life on the Streets.
Buffalo's got nothing.
We just have murder and death and police. That's what it was. And that's it. So there was always an escape for me to have these sitcoms that were so good. And the fact that they could put 4 on back to back to back to back and all of them do well. It was really good writing for all of them, but it just showed we got to laugh. It's so important for us to laugh. And those sitcoms helped unify all of us and make us laugh together.
Yeah. Well, I
don't like that.
What?
Mabel's name's an acronym, means moms always bring extra love. I'm a dad. I've yet to see anybody named Dable.
Dable.
Justice for dad. Start naming your kids Dable. So how about the Mad About You reboot? I sounded Canadian. Wirehead. Did I sound Canadian? Reboot. The reboot. 2019.
S'mores.
That just goes to show you that I remember the show, but I had no idea there was a reboot. I didn't even have to go look up Mad About You just to know that that was one of the topics. You know, sometimes I'll have to look something up because I forgot about it, but I didn't know it had a reboot.
Yeah. So I guess that's my point when I say it jumped the shark. So the original ending pointed towards the separation. Mabel's an adult. She's talking back about how her parents went through all this rough time. They threw that all out the window for the reboot. They're like, yeah, we're going to pretend that never happened. Because the writers almost acknowledge, they screwed up. We need these two together for a reboot, but it still didn't take off. I think it ended badly. And when a show ends badly, I think it's hard to bring it back. I think it's hard to bring it back anyway.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that I could think of any show that had a reboot that was
even
successful.
Frasier tried. It didn't do great.
Yeah. It wasn't great. It was good.
Frasier had a great ending. Like, that's a problem when you end it the way that, and people walk away going, wow. Like, okay, like I feel like it ended the way I wanted it to. Then it's hard to bring it back. It's hard to bring something back that doesn't feel like it needs to be.
In my case, Wirehead would be Mad About Yins.
I guess where I live now would be Mad About Y'all.
Mad About Y'all, Mad About Yins. Yins is.
All right, we're at 20 minutes and counting.
And so we're gonna switch right over. Then we're gonna get to Twister, and I absolutely love this movie. As a former science teacher, I would show it all the time to my kids in school. We would actually analyze portions of the movie about, talking about the weather and weather twisters and the whole bit, tornadoes, and I was fascinated by the movie at the time. It was one of them. It was a creature feature, if you will, with the creature being the tornado. And it went around that typical plot line of a creature feature where, this person and this person and this person, they were the bad guys. They got killed. They got taken over. And then finally at the end, the two heroes show up at the end kind of thing. And for me, I loved it.
It had Jamie Gertz. So I loved it.
Jamie Gertz, yes.
Yeah. Anything with
Bill Paxton. So I loved it. Not that I love Bill Paxton the way you love Jamie Gertz, but I love Bill Paxton.
Yeah, I love Bill Paxton as well. And of course, Helen Hunt.
And Helen Hunt. Philip Seymour Hoffman is amazing and everything.
Yes. Was amazing.
Linda mentioned seeing Twister in the theater, and that's something I don't think we've talked about. There's a lot of movies we look back, 70s, 80s, 90s, and we're like, yeah, I saw that after. I saw that on HBO. I saw that as a blockbuster movie. There were certain mega movies that came out, whether it was the summer blockbuster or the Christmas time, they started doing their run of Christmas blockbusters as well. Two main times for big movies to come out. And Twister was one I saw in the theater. It's like you had to see it in the theater. First of all, you wanted the effect of the tornado on that big screen. You wanted the Cineplex sound having it whip around you. I think that's a great point, Linda. This is one I think a lot of us would have seen in the theater. We would have found a way to make time.
Someone thought I was talking about the game of Twister. I could talk about Twister as well. I mean, you could have been watching Twister playing Twister. That was a popular game when we were kids. So
yeah, I have a feeling a Twister conversation with this crowd would go in a very bad direction. So I'm glad we're talking about the movie Twister and not the game Twister.
Yes, but you know what? And that's some of the things, like the being in the Navy there, that's some of the things we would actually watch certain movies in my science classes and analyze them for different things, like little portions of Star Wars and talking about them making U-turns in space and why isn't that possible, and talk about like the volcanic fallout in Dante's Peak. And then we would talk about cloud formations, things like that within watching Twister. And, but it was a great movie.
Yeah.
Kevin lets us know that there's a fun fact. Twister was the first movie, according to Kevin, to be released on DVD. Now, don't fact check me if you're watching this after the fact. It's not my piece of trivia. It's Kevin's. But if it's right, we'll take credit for it. If it's wrong, we'll throw it back on him.
And Blister Bill said that he loved Jamie Gertz in The Lost Boys. I had to mention that I loved her in The Lost Boys too, and Less Than Zero. I could go on. But yeah, she's a favorite.
Now half of the live studio audience is talking about Naked Twister. So
I know.
Nice. Kevin takes it up a notch, not just Naked Twister, but drunk Naked Twister.
Naked Twister.
Can we please get back on track? How do I have to be the guy that gets us on track in this room? That's weird.
Somebody
That's a job
mentioned
I'm not
Carrie
used to.
Ools as well, and we didn't even mention Carrie Ools, who was the Man in Black, Wesley in The Princess Bride, who was also
Carrie Elwes.
Well, Carrie Elways. Yeah, I always called him
Even
Carrie
names
Elways.
you pronounce wrong. You do it to bother me. And I got beef with you, Chris Clues, because I went and met Carrie Elwes. And because of listening to you mispronounce his name, I said Ools, and he looked at me like I was a moron.
I called him Elways. Carrie Elways.
I got him too.
He corrected me. And I'm like, my buddy Chris, who knows all things 80s, he writes books. At the time, I didn't know you said s'mores, or I would have questioned the authenticity of your pronunciation. But you made me look like an idiot, and I forgot that's been on the tip of my tongue for a while now.
3D mirror connection.
No, he won't do a 3D mirror connection.
Carrie Ools, if you're watching this.
He does look like he walked right out of Central Casting. It's crazy. Like when you meet him, he looks literally like Central Casting actor, like walked right out of Central Casting.
I was surprised that he was the guy in Saw. You know, that surprised me. I think
And the Crush.
Having seen him in other things, of course, I never saw him in The Princess Bride. It was funny you mentioned
Men in Tights. Wait a minute. What's the topic?
The topic is Twister, so we ended up talking about Carrie Ools.
Elwes.
And we ended up talking about him. But I think that's the beauty of the show, is that we could go off on tangents and we could talk about Twister, because we did already talk about Helen Hunt, and then we talk about Jamie Gertz, and then we talk about Bill Paxton. Now we're on Carrie.
Yeah.
Elwes.
So we talked about the Mad About You reboot. There's Twister also had, so this could be a little mini connection. There was also a Twisters, and I think I tried to watch it. I couldn't finish it. It wasn't bad necessarily, but no, I did finish it. It was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Twister. It wasn't as good, anywhere near as monumentally good as the original.
Did they say cow? Because for me, that was one of my favorite lines in the movie.
I think everybody brings it up. You're right.
Another cow. Yeah.
You just can't take. I mean, Hollywood hasn't learned. Don't reboot the movies that already have an impact in pop culture, an impact in culture. Leave them where they are. Reboot the movies that maybe missed for whatever reason at the moment. And then reboot those if you think they're good stories. Like if I was in Hollywood, I would be rebooting 3 O'Clock High. I think 3 O'Clock High is one of the best 80s movies. And it just was Spielberg was attached to it. Then he removed himself. And when he did, it just kind of didn't happen the way it should have. But when they do something like take Twister, and we're mentioning all these great actors and actresses that were in it that played these characters, you can't, it's not going to work.
And they didn't replace them with phenomenal actors. I mean, that's the thing. They made a smaller movie. You're never going to win with a smaller movie. Maverick worked because they had the same actors we're waiting to see. If we saw, I see that Wenjo's talking about Ferris Bueller. If we were able to bring back those characters, and a good script, I'd watch it. But it's too early for a reboot of something when those actors are still bigger than the ones you're putting in a smaller movie.
And Kevin said it was a sequel, which that's fine, but it's still, regardless, like
it wasn't even a tight sequel.
Material is not like, and the great thing about Twister was 1996 came out.
Right?
You're watching this movie and you're wondering how they did, like, that's the magic of Hollywood. In 1996, you're like, whoa, look how they did this. And they made this Twister and all this stuff. Now we all go in the movie theater like CGI. We all know what it is. Like, we know it's computer or animated. We know that there's nothing there except the actor and a green screen. Or even that. Maybe there's like a little bit in the background, but we all know how it's done now. And that was the magic before with movies like Twister, where we walked out going, well, how did they do that? How did they do this? And we were curious about it, and it made it more realistic for everybody.
I wonder if there was a surge in storm chasers after Twister. I've got to assume there was. There had to be a whole bunch of idiots watching, being like, dude, you know what we should do? I mean, 1.5 million people tagged me in a video that quicksand was found in Utah. And I'm like, if they, the guy barely got out with his life. He survived barely. He needed help, and yet there's a million Gen Xers that are staring me this story, myself included, that are like, when does the vacation tour start? I want to go. I want to see the quicksand.
We got taught how to survive quicksand.
We didn't back, you rock your knees, and you look for
we got told about
the
quicksand.
branch of the vine that's coming at some point.
No,
I guarantee you, there were people chasing tornadoes everywhere after that movie.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And meteorology was one of the things that I absolutely loved. Whenever I was a science teacher, I actually helped to write curriculum for my former district about meteorology and oceanography and such, because I was very, very, very fascinated by those topics in particular. Water being my number one like science thing, and I loved water. I loved water, whether it came in the form of hail or flowed in a river or was out in the ocean. That was my number one science topic. I would have studied water anywhere. Yeah, just FYI. Now you're not saying nothing. It was one of them cliffhanger moments where you're like, okay,
say something. I was going to say something. You didn't even. I was like, and then you're like, you didn't even say anything. I was just going to say, if you liked water, did you like Waterworld?
No.
Nobody liked Waterworld.
Nobody liked Waterworld.
Waterworld.
Soundtrack on Twister.
I love the soundtrack. Somebody mentioned Van Halen. This is a
Van
Chris.
Halen did a cinematic score for it. Eddie and Alan.
Yeah, I figured Chris could talk to that.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up. Was AC/DC on the soundtrack? It feels like it should be.
It was integral with music, but I don't recall there ever being a song that stuck out to me. I bet if I went back and watched it again,
wasn't like an Armageddon type soundtrack where you will forever tie the music to the movie, but it supported the movie well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I used Twisters because of the Van Halen connection on one of my topics.
Yeah,
I wanted to look it up and see like what songs were on it. Because now I'm curious, of course. Like I should.
Linda and Tony Randall both say they like Waterworld. You're both wrong. You don't. Neither of you actually does. Yeah, somebody goes. It was the last Van Hagar song for Humans being for Twister. But if I remember my trivia correctly, the band couldn't come to terms, so they weren't listed as Van Halen on the soundtrack because they couldn't come to terms with it. What's that?
It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's got Rusted Root, Tori Amos, Mark Knopfler from Dire Straits, Soul Asylum, Belly, Lang, Lisa Loeb, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Goo Goo Dolls, Shania Twain, Stevie Nicks.
It's a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
We just have to have him come say like lists of people because, I'm surprised you didn't say Lisa Loeb. You know what I mean? So
I'm telling you, when I corrected him right now, I got a look that if I was within throat punch distance, I was pushing it.
Right there. Yeah, Lisa.
Lisa Loeb.
I gotta say Lisa Loeb, so I'm a huge fan of Lisa Loeb. So
there you go. All right, 32 past the hour.
The world is great. Thank you. Great. Yeah.
I think Twister, we could definitely put that down in history as like one of those movies that like pretty much every Gen Xer has seen and that generations of people can still enjoy Twister. It is a somewhat timeless movie in that you could go and watch it today and it would still be a good action-packed movie. Moving on, I like my third topic here. I was inspired by you guys when we were talking about Grease. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we talked about teenagers played in movies. And this actually could apply to teenagers, but people that misplayed the age of a person in a television show or movie, or that you looked at them and said, yeah, no way, you have a receding hairline. This isn't working, So that's the topic. Actors who played teenagers who looked anything but the part.
There was a lot of them.
Yeah.
Actually, I think. Because most of the people that played the high school kids were in their mid-20s, save a few. I mean, a few of them played their age. Grease is the best example I can think of, but I'm sure there's.
Grease 90210.
Yes.
I know Gabrielle Kataris was like when People magazine finally outed her. They kept her. She kept her age kind of a secret, and they outed her in an interview. And the writers who claimed not to actually have known her real age stopped writing for her. They're like, now everyone knows you're 32 years old. It's no longer believable. And she stopped being written into a lot of the storylines. But even the younger people at 90210 were still older.
You know, when you go back and even look at John Travolta when he was in Welcome Back, Kotter, you know, he did not look like a teenager in high school at that particular point. I mean, if you ask me, or dare I say it, the Fonz on Happy Days, there's no way. There's no way. I thought Fonz was like the 40-year-old guy that was hanging out with the kids. Even back then, I thought that.
Yeah, John Travolta was 21 when he started, and there's where the confusion lies. So he was only 3 years really older than the part he played. However, myself included, regular 18-year-olds in 1988 could have looked anywhere from 13 to 30. There was no telling. And then add into that the fact that all kinds of children were left behind when we went to school. We had the village idiot that drove to middle school. So you had literal 25-year-olds hanging around in the hallways.
Yeah,
I saw one of those once. He drove to freaking middle school. Then he got in trouble for stealing a car, okay, and then driving it to middle school. And then his mom said, well, because you don't have a car now, I'm going to buy you a car. And I was like, oh, my word. Yeah, middle school. That's for real. Yeah. So
I just remember there's this one kid, I won't say his name, but year in and year out, we all moved on. He did not.
Yeah.
He might still be there. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
There were a lot of those kind of players. I could think in the modern times here, Glee. Do you remember Glee?
Yeah.
I actually used to enjoy Glee, and then it got a little weird, and well, then a lot of the characters
with my daughters.
You know, I think two of the characters, there's Prison, Dead, 2 are dead, 3 are dead. Three are dead. Yeah. And but they were all much older as well, and you know, trying to sell us the idea that they were teenagers.
How about why?
What's that?
Michael J. Fox, I think, was almost 30.
Daniel-san was in his mid-20s. Karate Kid.
Oh, wait. So, no, I guess Michael J. Fox was 30, close to 30 in the final Back to the Future. But still, you know, I didn't know this one, but apparently Leonardo DiCaprio was a little bit older when he played 16-year-old in Catch Me If You Can. He played the character when he was 16, and he was close to 30 as well.
Yeah, he still looks like a man-child.
He does.
A little weird. Some of those looked really young back then as they age. Blasphemy maybe, but even I'm forgetting the name. Daniel LaRusso.
What? Ralph Macchio?
Ralph Macchio.
Oh, yeah.
He's aging. He's starting to look older, but he's looking like you ever see those kids that have that disorder that causes them to age prematurely, but they're still kids? It's kind of what he looks like to me. I'm like, he doesn't really look like a 64-year-old person, but he looks like what a 30-year-old person that really led a rough life would look like.
That aged forward. Yeah.
Correct.
I
had to look this one up because I was curious, but Barbra Streisand in Yentl, she was 41 and she played a 19-year-old.
Wow.
Really?
Yes. I love that movie. I loved Yentl, actually.
I don't know what's more surprising, that you thought to look that up or that you've seen Yentl. Not you, Shell.
I know who you're talking.
I don't ever want to be made fun of beaches ever again. Let it be known throughout the land that Chris Clues has not only seen Yentl, but about to quote it in our episode.
That is fake news. I've never seen Yentl. I just knew that I had heard that she was older when she played. I've never seen like you.
No Bills, Lockport, dude.
Like
Chris is a fan of Yentl. So every time somebody sends me a Bette Midler album, I'm sending you a Barbra Streisand one.
He knew how to pronounce it. I will say that.
Well, you've seen it as many times as he has.
Yeah. I said it right or correctly.
What else?
That one didn't even cross my mind, though. But, you know, and I know for me, Stockard Channing, Grease, you know, another one that I had written down was Ian Ziering. You know, he had like a receding hairline, and he was playing.
He has a full head of hair today.
Well, I mean, but still, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
A lot of these people, we bought it.
Part of it, I've done some research on it because I did a video on it. Part of it was to get around the whole, all right, we need to set up school for these child actors. We need to be careful because there are certain child labor laws. There have been laws put in place to protect kids, as there should be. It's a pain in the ass to work with kids. Yeah. It comes with its own hurdles. And so they're like, you know what? Let's hire people that can actually stay late, do overtime, not deal with parental momagers. And so they jump up. And that's a big part of it.
And I could totally see that.
My man Patrick Swayze was 32 in Red Dawn, and he was playing a high school senior. Oh, and kind of got away.
And then you've got like the other end of the spectrum, the Brooke Shields of the world, who at 16 they throw into fully like adult roles. Yes. So Hollywood just does whatever the hell it wants to do, and we sit there and watch. Life says Rizzo wasn't pregnant; she had 5 kids already.
Grandkids.
Now, the joke I made last time it came up was Rizzo wasn't pregnant, not because she was lucky, but because her eggs were basically dust.
Kevin said that there were no child labor laws during the making of Blue Lagoon. I have no idea when those child labor laws came out, but I know that when my kids were younger, we used to put them, there's very few things that are filmed in Pittsburgh, truly. But we used to sometimes take them down and put them in as extras, if they were calling for kids in movies. And it was a big deal to get that child labor stuff. I mean, and they only had so many hours they could be on set. And, so I could see why they did that.
What? Because the reason when was Blue Lagoon filmed? Because I do know in 1982, when they filmed Fast Times, that Nicolas Cage at the time was Nicolas Coppola. He was 17, and so they had to work around
They still had to. They had to do the whole school thing and such. And that's what I mean. So it was probably a major pain in the ass to have Brooke on set. They had to do certain things where they swapped out Chris Atkins with a body double who was younger in a couple of the scenes as well, because that would have gotten in trouble. He was in his 20s. She was 16. So anytime there was any scene that involved any modicum of undress, he got moved out. He couldn't be there. Still not right. Still not right at all. I mean, that was ridiculous.
No.
But there's gotta be other good ones. What else besides Yentl? Was she in anything else?
Wait, Barbara, someone asked what the channel was. You can just search Gen X Show and YouTube or in on Google, and multiple of my channels will come up. I think I have a Google panel.
They're changing that around now. Like our internet personality things, it'll still give all our links, but they're messing with the titles.
Yeah,
I like being an internet personality.
Yeah,
but now I'm just not.
They mess with you.
So we talked about, I think we're at 7:46 now. So we talked about this. We talked about any final words on people playing roles outside of their age range. And and the only other ones I could think of, there were 2 examples of people playing when Brad Pitt aged forward in Benjamin, or aged backwards, and then they aged forward, whatever they did in Benjamin Button.
Benjamin Button I like that movie.
It's a good movie, but sometimes the makeup, and I'm going to give you the best example of one of the Alien movies. They age forwarded someone with the Wayland. They age forwarded the Wayland, and I thought, in this day and age, we can't age forward somebody a little bit better than that. I don't know. Just so it's just weird sometimes what Hollywood does, I guess.
I just always got confused, like, when there'd be a shift in time and then they had to make changes. Anytime a show took a jump or a leap and they made differences in the kids' ages and they swapped them out in a movie or something. I just remember as a kid being all kinds of confused. I didn't like any of that. Yeah. But in the 70s, I think Joni was age appropriate. I think Richie Cunningham was played it didn't really become a thing. Leave It to Beaver, age appropriate. My Three Sons. It really shifted in the 80s and the 90s. And I think that's when the laws made things difficult. Maybe. And they're like, I'm done with these kids. We can no longer abuse the hell out of these children. And I think that's also when the people before them didn't make any money. You know, the Beav made no money. The Beaver was working for cheap in many households. But once money became an issue and parents really started getting involved and really, jumping in on their kids' careers. I think they're like, all right, we're not going to work with kids.
Yeah. I like what someone said, what War Dog said, or Warp Dog said. There was Estelle Getty. She was the youngest of the Golden Girls, even though she played the oldest. So
everybody says that, but I'm pretty sure it was Blanche.
I don't know. I heard that anyway.
Yeah, I've heard it all the time too. But I'm pretty sure who played Blanche?
Blanche
Devereaux, played by Rue McClanahan, was the youngest. Yeah. Rue was the youngest.
Okay,
she
well,
was
whatever.
61 when the show started. But to your point, Estelle Getty certainly wasn't the oldest, and even though she played the mother, the fact that she played B. Arthur's mother, I always thought was hilarious.
Yeah. So anyway, we talked about Mad About You, we talked about Twister, and we talked about actors who played teenagers that looked anything but the part. And, can you think of any connection? The connection is not Helen Hunt, by the way, because she's in the two of them. Can you think of a connection that connects them?
I've got it, but I'm going to let the chat.
You got it? I think it's Helen Hunt, because I can connect her to Mad About You, and then she was also in Twister. What's that?
It's not Helen Hunt.
But if I can make the connection, it is.
It's her.
Well, I guess.
It's her brother, Mike.
And when she played the daughter with the abusive drunk mother in that after-school special, she was playing the part of a 13-year-old when she was 29.
Then I guess you could win. No, I guess you could win on that one. She might have been that age at that point. I mean, if you make the connection, I guess. Yes.
We've got Stranger Things. I've had people mad at me. We've got Sarah Jessica Parker, David Steinberg, Anne Ramsey, my two dads.
Good. All very good.
Mike Hunt.
Mike Hunt. One of my most famous videos.
One, Joe. You got me. Kristen, you got me.
One of my most famous videos features Mike Hunt. And I shouldn't have said that in the same. One of my most famous videos features Mike.
Considering you've repped for underwear on your videos, that might not be the joke you want to make.
That is not what I meant by that, but one of my most viral videos, I said the words Michael.
So, Mike Hunt went viral on your video. Fun.
I think Kevin
Bill's coming in with John Stamos, Ferris Bueller. I don't think anybody's got it.
I think no. Kevin got it. Kevin,
where'd it go? Kevin always gets it.
Go ahead. Wait. Go.
Where's Kevin?
Yeah. It's Cameron.
Alan Ruck.
Bueller. It's Cameron. It's Alan Ruck. It's Cameron Fry from Ferris Bueller. He was in Mad About You.
He was?
Yes. He was with Mad About You, he was in Twister, and then he was 30 years old when he played Cameron.
You know what? You both get a point then, because that is not the answer I was going for. But you are absolutely, now that I think about it, that was a connection that did not even, that was not in my brain, but you are correct. So this might be a first on the show here where everybody gets the connection.
Well, I'm wondering how old, and now I'm going to look and see how old she was when she played I bet you she was in her 20s. So there's so many connections.
So if Alan Ruck,
somebody in the audience got it though. Somebody in the audience did get what I had envisioned as the connection. Yes, but I love your connection, Chris. In fact, I love it more than what my connection was.
Well, Kevin got it too, and then of course Kristen, he's going to keep calling me and calling me and calling me. That's one of my favorite scenes in Ferris. What is it then?
It was Stranger Things.
Oh, somebody did write it in there.
Somebody did write it in there, and I was just kind of waiting for a moment. Stranger Things, okay, because we had Paul Reiser, who starred in Stranger Things. Yeah. We had Carrie Elwes. Carrie Elwes in
What was he
Stranger
in
Things.
Stranger Things?
He was the mayor of the town.
Season 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Indiana.
And we also had actors who they started out as teenagers and now they're in their 30s playing teenagers still.
It was Ruby Sticker.
Quark said we're in the multiverse now.
We're in the multiverse now because and also I wanted to make a Stranger Things because the other season is coming out here and or other portion of the season is coming out in days, and I thought very timely. I'm not stealing the Christmas show, whoever does it next week. I'm not stealing the Christmas theme, but I wanted to make it timely for something that's coming out. And since the Stranger Things, the 25th, the rest of it, more portions of it are coming out on Christmas.
Just came out.
The 4 episodes and then a movie after that.
Oh, very cool. I'm loving it.
And I'm loving it too. And also because Stranger Things is such a connected to the 80s kind of a show with even the actors and the everything. But all the actors now, they've waited so long in between seasons. The actors now are way aged out of their teenage roles. And so, yeah.
No, meaning there are so many connections. Somebody wrote you can't host for 3 weeks.
Yeah, this is great.
You've gotten so many connections out of one episode that you're like done. You're matched up.
I think this is the first time this has happened though, where you each were absolutely correct, and yet that wasn't what I had in mind.
Ellen
and
Hunt, Paul Reiser. Reiser was in Aliens with Bill Paxton, who played a Luftwaffe officer in a Pat Benatar video. That's more like a Gen X. That's more like a Gen X shell connection.
Shadows of the Night. No, this is. I mean, it's awesome. And first of all, I love Stranger Things on so many levels, but I also love it because of those actors. There's going to be a couple of them that we're going to continue to hear from, and a couple of them maybe not. It just depends on how their careers go. Mm-hmm. But a few of them are going to have some pretty big influence in Hollywood over the next 20 years, and you can bet they're going to be talking about 80s projects, because when you see those kids in interviews and they talk about like learning about what it was like living in the 80s, like we were growing up, they actually said they really like it. They thought it was pretty cool. It was very different, but I think they're like, you see some of these kids who play kids in different decades, and then they go on to do things, direct whatever movies or shows in those decades because they become attached to it. So that's good for them.
I like your connection better though, Chris. I'll be honest with you. I mean, Helen Hunt was an obvious, thing with the two movies, but I like your connection better because I did not realize about him being in Mad About You. So I would have never got
Kevin too. Kevin in the audience. Kevin got it as well.
Yeah.
The Alan Ruck connection. Yeah.
Congratulations. That was better than I had. Yeah.
So my favorite part about Stranger Things is it almost makes me a celebrity with my kids in my house, which is very rare. But they look to us and they're like, was that real? Did that really happen? Can you tell us about this? What was that like? Could you really be on your bikes? Oh my God, they're not home. It's 10 o'clock at night. Their parents would be calling the police by now. I'm like, no. Or the music. They're like, tell us about Kate Bush. What other songs has she done? It's creating conversations in homes. And when I told my kids about Winona Ryder's predilection to stealing things out of CVS's, that she could, I'm like, yeah, there's a little klepto. They're like, what?
When Eddie played Metallica, I was like, oh, yeah.
What a great character. And what a great show. I went back and watched the first season again because I really hadn't watched it in years. Mm-hmm. The new one came on. I just want to go back and watch it because of all the seasons, that first one, they captured the 80s, but that first one really captured not just the 80s with the music and the things that they did and the bikes and the D&D and all that stuff. What it captured was the magic of the Goonies and E.T. and all of those those adventure movies that we just don't seem to have as much anymore. And they kind of rolled all of those into one and created that season one Stranger Things.
I just wish they would have done what we did so well in the 80s, and that's tell the story in a linear, well-packaged fashion. Spreading it out 4 pieces here, wait 6 months, wait a year, wait 2 years. it's like you said, some of the kids are getting older, trying to play younger. It's
Mhm.
losing momentum. I don't remember what happened. I've got to go back now and rewatch. Things are falling out of continuity. Even the writers are forgetting things because it's having like a lost feel to it where they're like, oh yeah, or like I always joke that Dallas got so convoluted. They had Ray sleeping with who became his niece, right? When a show goes too long, or Ray was the cowhand on the Dallas Ranch, and he slept with Lucy, who was Jock's granddaughter. But then we find out later that Ray is actually Jock's son.
You know way too much about that show. I'm just going to say.
I had to translate for my parents. They didn't speak English. I've got the dynasty, I've got it all down. Zani, who is he sleeping with?
You had to translate Beaches as well.
Not Yentl, but Beaches, yeah. At any rate, I wish the timeliness, I wish Stranger Things had stayed. I just wish they would film more episodes for a season instead of doing 5 and calling it a day.
Yeah. And now they're doing this thing where some comes out at Christmas, and I think some are coming out after the New Year or something like. I don't even know.
They're going to do like
a movie. Yeah. And
I think it's got to hurt them. There's nowhere near the amount of eyes on any one program that we had. All eyes were on MASH for the finale. I'm talking all eyes. The number, and that's why those records are never broken. Granted, less to watch back then, but they made it easy for us to watch. It's always going to be on the same day. And they learned lessons when they changed, they took a show from a Thursday and threw it on a Tuesday, the ratings tanked. People, even with TV guides, we lost track of our favorite shows if they moved them. We forget shows. They'll go on hiatus. My wife and I will just spinning around one day going, wait a minute. Do you remember that show about that thing and that thing and that thing? Did we ever finish that? I'm like, no, I don't think we did. Just forgot about it.
Yeah. There's so much on now that it's hard to keep track, I think, of all the different shows. But yeah, so I don't know. This was
Mark made a good point that
I'm just about to put it.
Yeah. I mean, our shows had, I went, when I'm watching these shows and like, we talk about Friends a lot, but it's like episode 20 of the season. I mean, it was wild. Like they would have 100 episodes and they would do 4 seasons and have 100 episodes. And part of that was because of the way that the royalties.
They wanted to jump to be able to get into syndication for sure.
Thank you. Yeah. The syndication, the royalties, all the way that was structured, but still, nonetheless, we got big seasons. So
yeah.
Sorry, Shal, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. This was one of those things where I think things surprise us on our own little show here all the time. And this was one of them where I thought it was fantastic that we all had a different idea of what this was. And we were all right for the first time.
Cheryl, you assume too much.
Did you just call me Cheryl?
Don't
call me Shirley.
Cheryl, there was a comment that I put on the screen for those that watch the episode rather than just, and I'm not going to reference it out loud, but for those watching the episode, I'm just saying she presumes a lot. I was answering this comment.
Yeah.
Because I had to interpret whatever show my parents were watching for that.
This was awesome. This was like
I hate to toot our horn. The last 5, 6, this season's been a great season of episodes.
It has. I think we've come up with stuff, and I will credit like the two of you and everything, us 3 together. I think when we first started this show, it was awkward. We didn't know each other. We couldn't fill each other's sentences in or think what the other person was thinking or tease another person about Carrie Oles, and I think this is what makes the chemistry of the show so good, and that's why we're getting better over time, and I love it.
Yeah, this was awesome because of all the different connections that we could have, like I said, we could have gone off on the Ferris Bueller tangent, but Stranger Things is very relevant. So
yes, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, the last thing I will say is when you take 3 big topics, then there's bound to be connections we don't even know about. Mad About You was one of those sitcoms of the 90s who had guest stars coming in and coming out, because if you were a celebrity of the time, you wanted to be on those shows. Seinfeld, my God, the amount of people that came in and out that door. Jerry's Girlfriends alone. I mean, you had Monica from Friends, you had Terry Hatcher, you wanted to be a guest star to elevate your appearance on one of these shows. Yeah. So people coming and going through Mad About You, through Seinfeld, through Friends, opens it up huge. And then on top of it, you've got a movie like Twister, soundtrack, actors, directors, right? I mean, huge ways to go to it.
You know, we always make fun too of shelling it and putting in that the connection is Calvin Klein and something like that. It reminds me of the show. Like, we probably could go back to a past episode, like literally pick a random episode, and the connection is the Love Boat. You know what I mean? Like, we could probably do that, because at some point, almost everyone we've talked about or anything, the Love Boat is what I could think of as one of the biggest examples of. Everybody was on that show. So Love Boat could be a connection to any one of these.
Magnum PI too.
Yeah. we could do that. And I think that's the beauty of all this.
Yes, s'mores on a hawk. You got it.
S'mores on a crime noir. Yeah. Crime noir.
A hawk while watching a crime noir movie.
Crime noir movie.
With Carrie Oles.
With Carrie Oles.
That's my Mad Libs for the evening.
And Lisa Loeb.
No, Lisa Loeb. I know how to say her name. That's my Mad Libs for the evening right there. That was it.
Or Fantasy. Oh, Fantasy Island could definitely be, you know, like pick a random show. Fantasy Island is the connection.
Bear with me 1 second.
What you looking for?
I'll show you in a minute.
Okay.
Baltimore, Kevin.
All right, I'm going to show one of these today.
Okay.
And then I should have one I'm hoping we'll have a video clip for every week going into the end of the year. This is going to be today's, and it's kind of I'm not even going to say, it's a little snippet of what 2025 on the 3-view mirror looked like.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Maybe.
It will. It turns out we were growing up. Man.
Awesome.
I love it. I love the giggles.
One of these is an interview I did that just got caught in there. But there's the ums.
Now we just need the that's awesome. Now we just need the was it let me clear my throat?
Clear my throat. All right. So that's what that's what sometimes used to get edited out of our shows, but now we go live, and every laugh, and all the rest are right there to be seen every time.
Yeah. And I think I love the humanness of that. And I love our audience, by the way. There are familiar faces here all the time. And I love how they've found the connections with us as well. And I love hearing everybody, all comments. I laugh sometimes. They don't all make it onto the screen, but I'm reading them and I'm laughing and I'm pointing and nobody knows what I'm pointing at, but I'm like pointing to my screen like, yes, yes, yes.
The goal is if we can get big enough. If we can make it so that we can show someone somewhere that there's an audience for it, we would love to come live to a city near you and do a 3-view mirror live. But we just got to get there. Drink when they say I'd be dead.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do a throwback movie night of the 80s and 90s? Yeah. The other thing the three of us have talked about is just doing some specials and even doing like a mystery science theater. To remember that, where there'd be a movie and just talk through it. We'll be happy to destroy a movie at some point together.
That would be great. I don't know could you get in trouble for that? Like with the copyright stuff? Is that like a thing? I don't know.
Depends on the channel. Depends on how you do it.
Yeah.
But all right, that's all I got.
That's all I got.
As well. It was
guys,
as always, thank you so much. Join us again next week. We do it every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here. And if we get big enough, we'll do it right there. So next time, I always say it, bring a friend, and we'll catch you next week.
Yep.
Stay rad.
See ya.